guys. So for our second lecture, we're going to talk about the different factors that lead to the development of cancer. So I like this quote about the pathophysiology of cancer, or how cancer affects the cells and systems of the body. The final common, this is from your textbook, it says the final common pathway in virtually every instance of cancer is a cellular genetic mutation that converts a well-behaved cellular citizen of the body into a destructive renegade. So what happens is that there's something along the way in the genetic code of the cell that's going to change how the cell develops, and it's going to grow too quickly. It's going to take a different form. It's not going to work along with the other cells in the body, the other cells in the organ where it is. And so that mutation is going to convert that well-behaved cellular citizen, that little colon cell, for example, that should be sitting right next to the other colon cells doing its job, is going to convert it to a destructive renegade that's going to grow too fast and replicate too quickly and potentially move and not do what it should do. So what are the factors that lead to the development of cancer? We have etiological factors, things like sex, ethnicity, etc., genetics, and carcinogenic events. So you'll have something, you have to have the gene in your gene code, and then carcinogenic events carcinogenic events or cancer-causing events will kind of flip a switch and turn the gene on. That's going to lead to mutating cells, and that's going to lead to cancer. There are elements in your environment and elements in your behavior, not elephants in your behavior, elements in your behavior that can lead to development of cancer. Heredity, what the folks in your family have had. Hormones can play a role in the development of cancer, as can immune function. Sorry, guys. It's 6:15. It's a little early still. So 6:15 a.m. So let's first of all get through kind of the key etiological factors that can lead to cancer development. Number one, geography. So cancer is found throughout the world, but there are some differences in distribution depending on where you are located on the globe. Cancers most common in the Western countries include lung cancer and large bowel cancer and breast cancer. And these are cancers that are really associated with lifestyle choices, such as smoking for lung cancer, and lack of physical activity, and obesity for both large bowel cancer, aka colon cancer, and breast cancer. Migrating populations acquire the cancer incidence profile in their country. So if you live in one country and you move to another, let's say you live in a country where the risk of lung cancer is low, but you move to the United States where the risk of lung cancer is high, you are more likely to get risk cancer as well. 1/3 of all cancer deaths are due to smoking-related cancers, and then 1/3 of all cancer deaths are due to alcohol use, specific sexual practices, pollution, and diet that leads to cancer. So 1/3 of the cancers that lead to mortality are caused by smoking. 1/3 of the cancers lead to mortality are due to alcohol use, specific sexual practices leading to the spread of HPV, a human papillomavirus, and pollution, which can cause numerous types of cancer, and diet. Sex is another factor that can lead to a cancer, and we're talking about biological sex because it's related to hormones. So we have an overall higher incidence of cancer in men. 50% of men, that's a crazy statistic, you guys, and 33% of women, so 1 in 2 men and 1 in 3 women will develop cancer. In men, the most common cancers are prostate cancer, lung cancer, and colorectal cancer. And in women, the most common cancers are breast cancer, colorectal cancer, and lung cancer. Lung cancer it's a really tough one, and it causes the most deaths in men and in women. Ethnicity, along with its linked to other types of diseases, is linked to cancer development too. Excuse me. Sorry for the yawn. Now, the number one highest incidence of cancer and death rates are in the African American population. The second highest incidence and death rates are in white men, and then we have similar incidence and death rates in African American women and white women. So our number one highest incidence death rates are in African American men. That should say men there. Hang on one second. Guys, I can fix it. So again, number one highest incidence and death rates, unfortunately, in African American men. Second to that are white men, and then similar incidence. We have similar incidences and death rates in African American women and in white women. So ethnicity is playing a role when sex is also in the mix as well. Lower incidence and death rates from cancer in Asian and Pacific Islanders, American Indians, and Hispanics. Age is another key factor because the older you are, the more likely it is that your cells have been mutated. The longer you live, the more likely it is your cells have been damaged by lifestyle, the environment, etc. So age affects cancer distribution, the type of cancer you get. Under 15, the most likely and common cancers are the kind of quicker moving cancers, so leukemia, brain cancer, and endocrine cancers. Because endocrine, when we talk about endocrine system, hormones are kind of really ramping up as we grow. Over 75, the most common cancers are lung, colon, and breast cancer. And you're also much more likely to get cancer at an older age. Between birth and 39 years of age, 1 in 58 men and 1 in 52 women will develop cancer, but as we age, 1 in 3 men and 1 in 4 women will develop cancer. And then we look at those overall statistics being pretty alarming, 1 in 2 men and 1 in 3 women developing cancer overall. And those are worldwide statistics. These here are United States statistics. So when we talk about carcinogenic events are cancer-causing events. That's what the word carcinogenic means, is cancer-causing. Our environment really plays a role in the development of cancer. The genes we have inherited from our parents, of course, do as well. We're not really going to talk about oncogenes, but those are specific types of genes that are kind of turned on and cause cancer, but we're not going to really go down that rabbit hole today. We're going to try to keep it simple. Hormones play a role. And if you have an impaired immune system, that can play a role as well, because your immune system fights off malignant cell growth on a daily basis. But if it's not working properly or it's not as strong as it needs to be, those cancerous events can take over. So cancers most likely arise when abnormalities are present in one or more of these categories. So you may have a genetic predisposition to develop skin cancer, and then environmentally you spend a lot of time out in the sun and you don't have enough sunscreen on. That leads to the mutations that are already kind of already kind of underscored by your genetic code. So we have a lot of environmental causes of cancer. Alcohol, arsenic, okay, poison. There's some on here, of course, we wouldn't want to get around. Arsenic, asbestos, benzene. Remember, BPA stuff, BPA free. Well, BPA compounds cause cancer. That's why we don't want to have them in plastic water bottles. Nickel, radon exists in the ground. Tobacco from smoking, but also other forms of tobacco, like chewing tobacco. UV rays, and of course, uranium, not great. And then over here on the right-hand side, we have the type of cancers caused by the agents. So alcohol, we drink alcohol through our mouth and our throat, obviously. So, and then it's filtered and processed by the liver. So it can cause esophageal cancer, liver cancer, and then cancer of the throat and larynx. Let's see, and kind of skip the scary compounds here. Oh, chromium can lead to lung cancer. Nickel can lead to nasal cancer, for example. Tobacco leads to all the cancer of all the systems that have to process that tobacco. UV leads to skin cancer, etc. And here we have just an example of a lung that has not been exposed to tobacco smoking versus a lung that has been exposed to tobacco smoking. We can see all the tar, because when you smoke, tar builds up in your lungs and causes damage to the alveoli and also causes cellular mutations. And then here's a close-up look. Let me get my little pointer again here. Here's a close-up look of what a normal alveoli looks like. So whenever we see alveoli, it looks like a bunch of grapes, right? A bunch of grapes. So here's when we see a picture of alveoli, but here's what alveoli look like in real life. So here's one alveolar sac with air intake right here. Here's another sac. Here's another, and you can see all the surface area. You can see how we have this very thin single cell layer between the alveoli. Now, if we look at a cancerous lung, you can see a big difference here. So see how this cell growth has just overrun the lung. So there's literally not room to bring in air to oxygenate. And if air was to be brought into the lungs, how are we going to get that oxygen across all these cells into the bloodstream? So what are some ways that we can reduce our risk of cancer? Well, number one, don't smoke, and we all know that. The thing is that a lot of people vape now, and we don't know the risks involved with vaping, especially if you're vaping nicotine products. There's a lot of other ingredients in cigarettes that are terrible for you, like tar, formaldehyde, etc., that are carcinogenic, that may not be included in other types of smoked substances, but still, be safe. Cigars, cigarettes, tobacco smoking absolutely does cause cancer. We want moderate alcohol consumption. Physical activity prevents cancer. We want to eat 5 or more servings of those fruits and vegetables, whole grains, and foods low in saturated fats because those have been shown to specifically help to prevent colon cancer, rectal cancer, etc., involved due to the increasing health of the digestive tract. Practicing safe sex is important. This is not a lifestyle course, but HPV, human papillomavirus, is transmitted sexually and leads to cervical cancer for women. So we want to prevent that by being safe about everything. We want to protect our skin from excessive light, so watching off those UV rays, using sunscreen. When I was little, you guys, my mom would throw some sunscreen on me and send me out the door, but I get burned all the time. I was difficult, didn't like the sunscreen, so we definitely want to make sure we're taking care and doing that. And sunscreen's pretty great now. It's easy to get. It's not tough to put on, etc. We want to maintain a healthy weight because we know that obesity also leads to cancer, and have regular cancer screenings, especially as you get older. So those are all of our tips on preventing cancer. And these are things you guys know already, but now we've talked a little bit about how those things lead to cancer. Just real briefly on heredity and hormones. Genetic and hereditary factors can lead to cancer, but just because you have the genetic predisposition to cancer does not mean you are definitely going to get it. It just means that you are more likely to get it. We have a role of heredity shown in colon, breast, and stomach cancers, and other cancers too. And some hormones may possess carcinogenic potential. So, for example, ovaries, breast, and uterus, and for females are all sensitive to hormones, specifically estrogen. And estrogen is a growth hormone. It causes the growth and multiplication of cells. So, over responsiveness to estrogen and the overaction of estrogen can lead to cancer in these tissues. An immune system function is very important in preventing cancer. We know the role of our immune system is to rid the body of bacteria, viruses, right, and malignant cells. So keep your immune systems healthy, you guys. I'm just saying, keep them healthy. Of your immune system and cancer prevention development, your immune system can inhibit tumor formation. So cells are mutating as you're sitting there listening to this lecture right now. Some cells are mutating in your body, but your immune system is catching them and getting rid of them. Immune dysfunction can allow cancer progression. So all we can do is watch out for the health of our immune system. And just a real quick note, we know that exercise is important for the immune system, but too much exercise when we get into overtraining, exhaustive exercise actually depresses your immunity. That's why if you've had a big event, whether you've got a big race or a big game or the end of your season or championships coming up and you're training a ton, it's likely you'll get sick afterwards. You guys may have found that. I know when I used to do distance running, I would almost always get sick either right before or right after a big race because your immune system is depressed. So when you're working with cancer patients in an exercise setting, we want to do moderate exercise that's going to enhance their immune function. And I'd encourage all of us to be doing moderate exercise now to enhance our immune function as well. All right, so that's the last slide. Jump over to Canvas, take care of that second assignment, and then go on to lecture 2.3.